Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for Career Cloud by Gift Specific. I'm your host, Agina Brown, and today we're joined by Christian Mabry. Christian, how are you? What's going on today?
I'm great. I'm just making it through these COVID times. I'm really glad to be here.
Right, I think we're all trying to survive and just make it out alive at this point because it's scary out here.
Definitely.
Viewers, I'm going to read Christian's biography and we will get started with this interview.
Mhm.
Christian Mabry is a daughter, wife, and friend living on the west side of Atlanta, Georgia. She is a South Carolina native, travel enthusiast, and lifelong learner. After working for a local Black-owned business in high school, she realized the impact that she wanted to have on organizations. Since then, she's worked in a variety of data analytics and supply chain roles across the greater Atlanta area and beyond. This includes several roles in the aeronautics and aviation fields. My first question is, what is your current job title and what role do you fulfill in that title? What's it all about?
Yeah, so I'm currently in the airline industry, and my job title is Specialist for Technology Enablement and Compliance. And what that kind of means is working with the supply chain and finance divisions to just kind of help bring the best technologies, whether that be automation, whether that be business intelligence tools to the forefront to help us solve today's problems.
Okay, so if we have any, is that more like with the website or?
Yeah, so it can be, the solution could be a website. Solution could be, it could be like any kind of tool, dashboards. It could be an app. It could be just a variety of things. And so just identifying, kind of doing the execution of making sure that the specific technical requirements that we need to really solve the problem make it to the final product or the final solution that we're going to roll out. And then making sure that the users are comfortable using it. So there's also a lot of training involved.
Is there a lot of testing? Like, is there a lot of back and forth, like test it to see how it works, if you like it, that kind of thing?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. What skills would you say that you need in order to be successful in this role?
Yeah, this is kind of a culmination of a lot of my previous roles. I will say that, having a background of the industrial engineering and process improvement gave me a different sort of flavor on how I think of a product, a technology product, a data analytics product. So the skill set that things that are kind of in my toolbox are, number one, process improvement, being able to look at any kind of system and think on a personnel level and on a flow level of, okay, what can make this process more efficient? How can we get to the end result in a way that drives more efficiency and cut costs at any point? So that's kind of one component, and that's kind of my kind of special take on data analytics. The other part is going to be kind of the more hard skills. So I definitely learned a mixture of, in the classroom and on the job, SQL, SAS, a lot of software that essentially it relates, and all of that software, all it does is it pulls data from like a huge data lake. So you can have maybe like all of the orders, all of your Amazon orders, or any kind of collection, right? If you think about like all the Amazon orders you've had in the past 6 months related to COVID, right? And
Right.
let's just say we wanted to pull that, and separate it from maybe your maybe things that you ordered before COVID happened. And so then we can kind of identify, okay, well, these are kind of like the COVID essentials to be able to sort of make that list. So I think it's being able to process improvement and evaluation, data analytics, definitely subject matter expert. I was also I was a logistics coordinator in supply chain for 2.5 years, just kind of going back and forth, working with different vendors on kind of what they need and how to bring getting everything delivered on time, right? So having that logistics background as well. So that's sort of and then I think the last piece is going to be just the kind of like readiness to learn. So whether that be Office 365, whether that be, being a Power BI developer, being a Power App developer, but it's about going and identifying, what new technologies are out there, and then going ahead and getting whatever certifications, whether it's AWS or whatever. So those are kind of the four main things: process improvement, a supply chain background, sort of logistics background, that data analytics. And then that fourth one is just an evolving door of different, like statistical tools, or even like low code, no code tools, but anything that you can kind of get to kind of quickly apply to the solution for the customer.
Okay, I think it's pretty cool how you not only have to specify how to focus on one aspect of the industry, but you work with the customers, you work with the vendors. I'm sure your employer wants certain things, you know, so you have to try to figure out a way to make those things mesh so that everyone gets along, kind of a thing, and everyone's happy.
Yeah, managing expectations is a huge part of the job of this job, and really any job in the supply chain field. Being able to manage the relationships. People need to be able to work together for a long time. We've got to get through this COVID thing. It's really tough for a lot of vendors, not just my specific, not my just specific role, but just in general. Businesses are, it's really tough. So having those relationships is very important, and managing expectations is very important.
Okay. What are some problems that you deal with that come up in your job, or that you deal with on a daily basis?
Yeah, so I'm just really not just this primary job, but even reaching back. Some problems that kind of come up on a daily basis is number one, you gotta never stop being a data analyst in this type of role. So maybe one day you need to know, hey, who are all the users for this particular system, or how does this program that we have today, how does it kind of mesh with this other program? Another problem that could possibly come up is, the apps, anything that you've developed, anything where it's user facing. And by users could be anybody, it could be your other coworkers, it could be a vendor, or anyone, right? And something maybe like there's an error in an app or a dashboard, and you really have to be able to just get into the problem. You have to know the system well enough to be able to quickly identify the problem, and then also quickly identify a solution. I think the communication part of it is really almost most important. You have to have both, really. You have to be able to get in there, find the problem, but you have to also be able to communicate with people in a timely way. If you go and try to turn on your TV and like your Netflix, whatever, doesn't work. Okay, when you call, most likely people want to know, like, okay, if there's an outage or something, like, I want you to already know and say, hey, I'm fixing it. So, those are kind of some issues or problems that I kind of solve on a day-to-day basis.
Okay. That's funny. Because I'm the same way. When I have a problem, I'm calling like, hey, what is going on? Like, I don't want you to put me on hold. Like,
Right. Yeah.
But it's understood, you have to find out what the issue is, but at the same time, you don't want the customer waiting forever to get a response or get a solution. So
yeah, and I've worked with like a lot of critical things before. Like, we really need this to get this out, tomorrow, especially in more logistics roles. And if anything is not working, maybe it's a report design that you made, because a lot of things that I build, some of them are for like more tactical work. So like me, or like you maybe as a teacher or as an analyst, like what are things that can help you get through your day-to-day, like grading your papers, like doing things like that. But then there's also larger kind of like technical, like apps and things like that, where it serves a broader base of people. So because I'm more from a process improvement background, and I care a lot more about the customer. And so I kind of try to keep that in mind always of, okay, if my mom was using this, like what were her questions?
Putting yourself in the customer's shoes.
Right.
Yeah. Is there anything you wish you'd known before starting in this industry?
Luckily, I've been really blessed. There have been so many, especially in the Atlanta area. There are so many people in previous generations that are in management positions now that have helped me and given me so much advice, especially in how to deal with different people, deal with different customers, and how to manage conflict how to speak up, right? And so some of the advice that I wish that I had gotten, or wish that I kind of knew going in, was, number one, you never get a break from learning. Every single day, if you're in any type of data analytics role, anything, you have to be ready to pivot. And if the customer doesn't like it, it's not going to work. I had that experience pretty early on where I designed something I was so excited about and proud of. And then it's just like, yeah, we can't use this. It's too big. It's too slow. And that was really early on. So, I would say advice that I wish that I would have had is just to know that just keep the ball rolling. Like you're never going to get, it's a long road. I think as a millennial, that instant gratification thing is really big. So I don't call myself an expert. I definitely have a wide range based on my experiences. I have a wide range of things to pull from. But, there are people who've been doing this for, 25, 35 years, and you're not going to get to that level anytime soon. So just relax. Ask for help when you need it. And asking for help is a huge thing. Like, don't sit there and bang your head on a keyboard. Community is everything. Wherever I go, always find community. Those are the people who are going to leave you the LinkedIn feedback. Those are the people who are going to give you your letter for your next job. So just, don't reach out for help when you need it. Keep your community close. Just know that it's an ever learning process, and know that you have a lot to learn. Even coming out of school, you could think you're the smartest thing ever, but you're not. You don't know anything.
Right. I can only imagine how much learning it would take, especially in technology. It's always changing. So there's always something new to learn. So I can see how that could be. You're learning something new every day, pretty much. You know how the saying goes. What is a new belief or habit that you have that you think has improved your life the most?
Yeah, and this is going to actually kind of contradict a bit from my previous statement, but something that I tell myself often is, no one is coming to save you. And that's not from a standpoint of you can't reach out and get help. It's more from a standpoint of, you're never going to be taken seriously in your industry, any industry, if you kind of have this belief that that someone is going to come magically. And we call those people consultants, so sometimes that does happen. But on a day-to-day basis, I try to make sure that I am focused on solving the problem and not complicating the issue. I try not to bring problems to my upper management because they already have problems. I try to bring solutions. So when I say no one's coming to save you, it's more of just be more solution minded, focus on how we're going to solve this, and don't get so damsel in distress about the problem. Don't sit there and freak out and cry about the problem, because it's not going to help. Your tears are not going to make this SQL code go any faster or make it uncrash or whatever. So, that's kind of something that I kind of tell myself.
I like that. So pretty much suck up tears and get to work.
Definitely.
I'll apply that to my life too, because I need to get it together. I'll just say that. Kristen, is there anything else you would like to share with our viewers?
I actually recently have this book, and it was basically going over it's similar to Outliers, which I read the book Outliers a few years ago, and that was definitely a big help as to identifying who's successful or not. But there's this new book called The Triple. Well, it's not new. It's new to me.
Okay.
It's called The Triple Passage. The Triple Package, by Amy Shu and Ben Rubenfeld, and it really analyzes these different segments of people in the United States. Some of them are have different nationalities and things like that. But he really steps through what are the kind of individual qualities that make them sort of tick and successful. So that's a big one. And then Girl Boss, the book, which is that's a very typical, it's a very basic book to mention, but it really hit me. I really was inspired by a lot of those stories. And also Elaine, the editor of Teen Vogue, I believe. Her
Okay.
book is also really helpful. So those are kind of some of the books that, I'm pretty much constantly reading. That's a part of it because you're working on your like technical side, but also like keeping your mind really sharp as far as just make sure you're constantly learning and reading and things like that. An audiobook is just effective, so no need to crack open paper.
I never consider audiobooks. Maybe I should try to start. I'm always just reading. I don't know. I just like the physical. You know, it's just something about having a physical book in your hand.
No, definitely. Yeah, podcasts and audiobooks have been my best friend for a while, just because when you're kind of like just in your computer, sometimes I need, to kind of distract me. But yeah, that, and then for podcasts, the Harvard Business Review, especially for the one for women. I don't remember what they call it, but it's a Harvard Business Review podcast. But they go over so many career tips, just like how to manage, salary, how to work with your boss, how to work with your members, finding sponsors. Those type of podcasts have been super beneficial as well.
Okay. So the triple package, Girl Boss, I need to add those to my list. Yes. I'm just taking a mental note so I can read those. Christian, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. To everyone watching, we want to ask that you follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Follow Give Specific. If you're able to donate, we ask that you do that on patreon.com or paypal.com. All of that information will be provided for you. And we also ask that you come back for the next video. Come back and see what's in store, see what we have for you. We're working on some good stuff. So thank you, Christian, and thank you everyone for watching.
Thank you.
Bye. You too.